Enough! No! More!
Today's topic is vendor consolidation, and within that, comprehensive solutions for zero trust architecture, which seems that most organizations are aiming for that. So I'll start off and just say we've heard the debate between best of breed versus single or minimum vendors, and the pro for consolidating vendors is dealing with the issue of integration. At the same time, we also know that multiple vendors also offer overlapping solutions as well. So Andy, I'll start with you. What have you heard enough about when it comes to vendor consolidation, and what would you like to hear a lot more?
So I think I'm tired of hearing about this as a binary choice, that you either are doing one or you are doing the other, because the reality is you're doing both. So what I want to hear more about is how do you make that decision? And I think one of the biggest conversation points I've heard in talking to peer CISOs about this is you often want vendor consolidation in places that are well understood. Like there's not a ton of surprising innovation. And I don't want to say that, oh my God, if you build a commoditized product, there's no innovation. I'm just saying that like there's not like this niche that is completely unaddressed. Like the vendors are doing incremental, fantastic, things, but I generally am not going to say, oh, look, like my endpoint security, I've got like one thing on it and now I want to add 17 point solutions. No, right? The point solutions are often hey, there's some surprising opportunity here. And so I want somebody who's going to move fast with the expectation that in about 3 or 4 years, either they're going to build a big enough company to be the vendor consolidating into, or they're going to be acquired by a larger vendor and be consolidated into someone else.
All right, David, I throw this to you. I think you bring up a good point, Andy. It needs to be less of a binary discussion. Agree or disagree, David?
I would say that there's no comprehensive solution for zero trust. So the statement itself is basically there needs to be a multi-vendor approach, but then the multi-vendor approach need to be able to seamlessly work with each other to present the necessary picture, the dashboard, the single pane of glass for CISOs or cybersecurity specialists to be able to take action very quickly. So I know there are vendors out there, they're advertising saying that we're the zero trust solution, we're this or we're that. There are actually multiple pillars. I mean, if you were just to look at President Biden's executive order, there are 5 pillars in 5 different areas. There is no one single vendor in the world that offer all 5 areas. Even for a company that I work for, we don't offer all 5 areas. But what needs to happen is that there needs to be the solution that can actually easily integrate with all the components, especially whatever that's currently within the IT environment, so that the CISOs are not wasting money or wasting any resources, but then having a way to aggregate data to be able to start achieving the zero trust goals. And that's probably at the lower maturity. If we need to get to the higher level of maturity of zero trust, there's going to be a lot more resources needed to accomplish that, as well as a lot more capabilities.
Yeah, and I think, David, you're really onto something. Zero trust isn't a solution space. It's a lot of solution space because zero trust is a concept, and it's not a concept about an architecture. Like I even have a problem with zero trust architecture. Zero trust is a set of principles about minimizing back to giving appropriate privilege to various entities. That's it, right? And whether that's zero trust network access with products that are about intermediating, getting your end users to your corporate network, or whether it's around identity governance, or whether it's around administrative access to things, like there's a whole bunch of different things that there's no vendor who covers all of that. And it wouldn't even make sense to try to find one vendor to do every pillar. But yes, each pillar, you probably do want to start to look for things that interoperate well.
So let me ask you this, David. What are your customers saying when they come to you? Like, what is the situation they're in, or what is their stress level that they need your help in specifically? And does it run the gamut, or are there certain themes you're hearing again and again and again?
It really depends on the maturity of that organization on cybersecurity aspect. So you'll have the likes of major company, if I can name the company, Johnson & Johnson, that they actually have a fairly mature cybersecurity team. They're even doing threat hunting. And because it's critical, the information, the IP information, the privacy information, the manufacturing blueprints, those are critical for the organization. And what they're looking for is looking for a way to mature their SOC, their security operating center, and then having a way to leverage the likes of XDR or the likes of having automation as well as machine learning built into part of their policy, cybersecurity policy building, aligning to their organizational risk management or risk tolerance, as opposed to for a much lesser mature organization, which is probably 80% of the organization out there.
I think you're being polite on that, by the way.
Oh, exactly. They're struggling to build a SOC. Even when I was working at Hub, we didn't have a SOC, a security operating center in place. We had to outsource and start out with a managed SOC. And then later on, we start building our internal SOC.
Just like our what's worse scenario.
Oh, exactly. So if the CISOs do not know what's in their environment, how would you be able to defend that? So to me, it really depends on the complexity of the organization, the maturity of their cybersecurity practice, as well as the resources that they're willing to put in as part of their risk management, any enterprises.
And just quickly, for the ones that are on the less mature side, because I'm sure it's a lot easier to work with the ones that are more mature. You have more advanced sort of conversations with them. But the less mature side, they're just like, I know we have to do this architecture. I'm not fully grasping it. I don't know what we do have that's dealing with this. Like, is that the level of conversation that you're having? Like, all right, let's sit down and see what you got and see, what our roadmap would be to get there. Because that seems like kind of the logical progression, yes?
Yeah, so very simple example. I was talking to a South Africa company, financial company, and what they're struggling with is actually to start out understanding their parameter, understanding their boundaries. And so my recommendation to them is to start out with a managed SOC. Once you have a managed SOC, once you start maturing the initial steps of managed SOC, you'll be able to have visibility within your environment. And then based on the environment, start refining the process, the security policy, organizational risk tolerance, as well as potentially starting communication with the board on investing into a self-managed SOC. So a lot of it is really, like you said, a lot of the conversation with 80% of the company is to start out with that initial concepts and understanding what's within their environment, how do they secure it, having the necessary practice, and then starting to mature it.